Welcome to the Thriving Solopreneur Show, where you learn the stories and systems that have turned hardworking, self-employed business owners like yourself into highly successful, leisurely entrepreneurs. This show is dedicated to those who went into business for themselves because they had an idea or suggestion that ignited their passions to do more, to do it better, and to solve a problem in our community. Whether your business started in a basement, a garage, or at a kitchen table, this episode will bring to you a system, a tip, or an entrepreneur that has been where you are and can guide you to living the fulfilling life you desire for yourself. Here's your host and serial solopreneur, Janine Bolon.
Hi, welcome to the Thriving Solopreneur Show. This is Janine Bolon, and today's guest is somebody you want to hear from. Now, I know I'm going to just state it the way it needs to be stated, and that is sometimes people think that balding old white guys don't have anything to share with them, especially if they're young, they've just started business, blah, blah, blah. What can an old dude, maybe he's balding, maybe he isn't, but what can some old dude tell me about this? Let me tell you something. This dude you want to pay attention to. He has been in financial planning since 1970, and he has developed planning strategies to help his clients with not only their wealth, but also their financial landmines, like the areas that they don't even know they have in their subconscious that doesn't allow them to lower their taxes and really help their businesses to expand. He has what he calls a one-page solution that's basically designed to help business owners like you, talking to you about all those what ifs. What if your business life does this? What if your personal life does that? And he basically has this brand new book out called Building and Protecting Your Business Worth. He also has a podcast. And so kind of stumbled into Tom Perrone. And I want to say thank you so much, Tom, for being with us today. It's great to have you with us.
Totally my pleasure, Janine. I appreciate you asking me on.
Yeah. And so let me just share a little bit more, folks. He's part of the New England Consulting Group of Guilford and a business and personal benefit planning group. He has done multiple things on helping people with business growth, transition planning, income planning, how to work with tax strategies, Medicaid, asset protection. Now, if you're sitting there at 22 with a side hack, you may think, well, I don't know if this guy sounds too high profile for what I have going on. And I would say, no, he isn't. He's totally able to be reachable, and he is very authentic. And you can't always say that about folks that are in the financial planning or how they're going to help you with your business growth. So, Tom, if you don't mind, kind of walk us through some of your quick tips that you know that when a client comes to you, you see this over and over again. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. First of all, let me just say something. For those people that are younger and in their business, when I started, I was 21, and it took me 7 or 8 years to actually make some money and feel like I was out of the woods. So sometimes it takes a long time, but if you stay with it, it works. People are confused about money. They in many areas, and again, I work a lot with business owners, so I see them create a widget really well. They make the best widget in town, but what they neglect are the key financial and business elements that they need to pay attention to, because no matter how much they work in their business, without them paying attention to those little details, they will fail. They will fail. So they need to be aware and be taught that there's another part of the business called working on your business. And people always say to me, well, when do I start working on my business for a future sale? Well, I tell them the minute you buy your business, start working towards the sale of it, which might be 30 years, because that will allow you to focus on the things you need to implement to create great value drivers, which creates good value for a future sale of your business.
Exactly. And some people start in a business and they think, oh, I'd never sell this business. I assure you, as somebody who's a serial entrepreneur, I start every business as if this is the last business I'm going to build. And I've built 15. I've sold 12 successfully, meaning for profit. I've crashed and burned on 3 of them. So, I have a very good record. But every time I build a business, I now have in mind, this is the only business I'm ever going to create. And I totally throw myself into that business. However, that doesn't mean I'm not planning for the future of potentially being able to sell the business or step away from it so it can sit there and churn on its own. So that's also another aspect with the way automation works these days. So go ahead and help us out here, Tom, okay? You have so much wisdom between your ears. I love it when I get a mentor of your caliber on this show who can actually educate people a little bit. Okay, well, all right, I'm a young person. This is the first business I've ever, sat down. What is this working on my business? What are the top 3 things I need to be looking out for then?
Well, the thing you need to deal with, I just responded to a LinkedIn statement, and it was about a coach talking about taking time off. And like I said earlier, it took me 7 or 8 years to start making money, and it took me that long to start learning the process. But you need to, right off the bat, start looking at your business as a business and not as a job. Meaning, if you can't at some point down the line start taking more and more time off, you have a job, you don't have a business. So you need to have the mindset that you start creating things that what I call value drivers. Delegate more, automate, find systems, be careful of your cash flow, especially in the early years. You don't have to go out and get the best and the biggest and the greatest. Earn the money to start financing that or buying it. I remember, Janine, the first computer I bought, 1980, PC, floppy disks, 128K. When I walked in computer land, I think it was, I saw the salesman chopping at the bits. It cost me $12,000, and there was no such word as hard drive. I leased that machine for 5 years, but I bought well over 100 computers, and I built a multi-million-dollar practice by taking some risk.
But the thing is, and this is where you and I are in total agreement, is you don't go into debt. This is not gambling, right? You took some risk, but you weren't risking your mortgage payment, right? You had the ability to recover from those risks where you were investing in new technology. And so that's one of the things that I like to educate people on, is they think that business owners are gamblers. No, we take calculated risks, and we don't bet the mortgage payment on those risks. We don't bet future sales on that. So do you mind discussing that a little bit? Because I see this gambler's mentality in a lot of business owners. Not that they would call it that. It's just that's how it's perceived.
And again, remember, I'm 71 years old. I was brought up in a time where I heard about the Depression. So I had that mindset of watching my money. But for an example, I see some landscapers going out and buying they go into business because they decide that they can do landscaping. The first thing the accountant says is go buy something because you can expense. They go out $50,000 truck and it looks really nice. But now they got the pressure of that $800 truck payment. They don't need a $50,000 truck. They need a truck that works. And I would say to any new business owner, watch your budget, stay within a budget, do without if you have to. But the key thing is, as soon as you can, get help, because you're going to have to delegate those things that someone that gets paid $20 an hour can do better than what you can do. If you're making $300 an hour, but you're doing $20 an hour work, something's wrong. You need to get a part-time. I had 3 part-time secretaries when I first started, and they worked 3-5 hours a week, but I cobbled them together to get what needed to get done so I could be out seeing clients and doing what I do best. So budgeting is so important. You don't want to be under pressure right off the bat financially.
And I think that's such quality advice that you gave. Budget your money, budget your time. And that is key. Hire people right off the bat. With all of the automation we have now, it's very simple to hire virtual assistants to do work that is systemized, work that is like taking care of your calendar and establishing interview times and stuff like that, being able to build your calendar out with new clientele while you're out making those connections through relationship marketing. Now, that's a big thing. This is something that I love chatting about with you guys who are highly successful in business. You guys have been doing relationship marketing since, quote, quote, the dark days of, 1970s, back when people were having to learn to transition from the hard sell techniques to you guys were already starting to do relationship stuff. So do you want to talk a little bit about that huge shift just in your own lifetime?
I love it. And I'll tell you, you could be the best person of what you do. You could have the nicest office. You could advertise the most. But the person that ends up getting the business is the friend, the relationship. Because people have put more into trust. They want to know, and trust you, and they don't care about the other things. So here's what Janine, I made the mistake years ago because I was mentored wrong about marketing. But if I had to do it all over as a 21-year-old person just out of college, I would have built up relationships in the right area, people that were working with the type of people that I wanted to work with. I would have identified them, and I would have created alliances and teams and try to help them out and build this relationship so that when the banker said, gee, you need a $2 million life insurance policy to cover this loan, and I know that's the best rate, but go to Perrone because he's very honest. That's what you want. So spend your time with good people, the people that you like, and over time, you'll build up a wonderful relationship and business will be so much easier.
And that's why I love chatting with folks that are like yourself, who they've been in business for decades and they were mentored wrong. They were mentored with the hard sell techniques and everything. And you guys, the reason why you became successful and stayed successful was the fact that you actually had to resist that training. And so hats off to you to helping coach us younger ones on how to go about doing that right by building teams. So anyhow, I would love to get back to your book, which you have, which is Unlocking Your Business DNA, Cracking the Code to a Better Business, Bigger Profits, and More Time on the Beach. Dude, who doesn't want beach money? Talk to us a little bit about this.
In 1988, 89, I had my 3 children, and I had wonderful parents and grandparents, and I was used to being around them. So family life to me was important, but I was working 70, 80 hours a week, nights and weekends, and I had to put a stop to it. And so what I did, I decided it was a mental thing and it was scary, but I decided I wasn't going to work on Fridays. And I would get up early, get my stuff together, work till 12, get my youngest one off the bus, and we would go bowling or doing something all day Friday. Well, what happened over a period of time as a matter of fact, I told my staff, you take off, I'll pay you because I'm going to take off. I needed that one day down, that day down. Well, what happened was taking that time off, I started to get much more creative ideas. I was loose as a goose and I felt relieved. I was with my family. Well, all of a sudden Fridays turned to also Mondays. And before you know it, I only worked 80 days a year with clients. And I ran a multi-million-dollar agency for 40 years like that. And I never missed a ball game, a teacher's meeting. And my kids today who are in their 40s always bring up kids' nights. So, it's scary to make these moves, but if you build good relationships, you keep your business budget under budget or equal budget, and you start creating some free time for your family, you have balance in life and you'll grow much quicker. rather than working 80 hours and, running after the next dollar you can make. It doesn't make any sense. And I mentor my groups all the time about this, and they fight me on it. But I say, take time off for 30 days. Just try 30 days and see how it changes your life.
I think that is so perfect. And I'm glad that you mentioned your groups, because that's one of the things that Tom is still doing. Tom is still out there mentoring people, and you really want to pick his brain. I highly recommend that you join up with one of his groups. If you want to see if he's a good fit, go ahead and read his book first, of course. But really, when you have men of this caliber who are as authentic as they are and who really just want to help the next generation not make the mistakes that they see a society pressuring them to make, these guys have been through it all. They know the traps, they know the pitfalls. And I cannot stress enough that you need to set up a time where you are not taking clients and it's inviolate. I currently work on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and Saturday mornings. So, and I'm a single mom, and I got 4 kids, and people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you work like that." And I'm like, because that makes me happy, and it fits in with what my teenagers are doing. They aren't up before noon on Saturday, so that's why I work in that early morning. But man, the rest of the time, that's time off where we're going off and having fun.
Janine, when I received your postcard with your children on there and the smiles, I was elated, because I know your work habits, and I say, this lady is doing it all on 4 days a week, and I admire that. That's so you're focused, and you've got obviously a lot of talent. But the last chapter of my book, and by the way, if they order it off Amazon, any proceeds go to Wounded Warriors Foundation. And you can be paperback or Kindle, and please do. But the last chapter of my book, I show people how to use these techniques that have really helped me organize, spend time with my family. And Janine, I've made a lot of money. I'm sitting here very independently wealthy and doing what I want to do at 71. But again, the first 8 years of my life, I was just about making ends meet, okay, of my working. So I'm just telling you, I'm sharing with you the things that have made me successful, but I want you to look at them at least and consider them. That's all.
Right. So say somebody reads your book and they listen to this podcast. How can they get a hold of you so that they can be one of those business owners that you kind of mentor and work with?
Yeah, they can email me, first of all, and I don't know if you're going to put them in the show notes, but T Perrone at, necgginc.com. If they go to my blog, which is yourbusinessworth.com, they'll get a very good idea of the type of work I do. And anybody who wants to call me, they can certainly call me and set up a phone conference or a Zoom with me. And I'd be more than happy to share with them just any questions they have. But I would ask them that they get the book, read the book, so they have some kind of focus on what they're going to ask me. That's all I asked. I think the Kindle, it's $3, the Kindle. All right. The paper book's better though, because it's easier to deal with. But I'm open.
I agree. I always ask people, have you read my book first? That way we have a common language. That way when I start mentioning things, you're not totally in the dark and we're not wasting each other's time. So yeah, I highly recommend that you buy his book off Amazon. And the name of Tom's book is Unlocking Your Business DNA. And go to Kindle, and all proceeds go to the Wounded Warriors Project. He's not making money off this, but he is using it as a platform and as a springboard for you, so that when you do connect with him, you guys are all operating at the same level, and then he can start really helping you to grow and expand your business. So, Tom, any last words of encouragement or any last things you want to share before we sign off for today?
Yes. Read as much as you can of the people that have a reputation of being good. Brian Tracy. I would read Wayne Cotton, any of these guys. I learned a lot from reading. It kept my motivation up very high. And that's going to help you get through. And I talk about that in the chapter 11. So read a lot, learn a lot, spend time educating yourself, and do it the way that you want to do it in your own lifestyle. The one last thing I'll leave, Janine, is I remember when I was a young person, the manager would say, well, Perrone, what's your production going to be this year? And I would say, I have no idea what I'm going to make, but I know exactly what I'm going to do to try to make that, because activity is more important than the results. You can't have results without the activity. You got to know where you're going. That's it.
Yeah, simple, right?
It is. It is. It really is. You know, it gets, as you get older, it gets much simpler.
Life becomes very simple at that point. Tom
really
Perrone, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate having you on the show and being able to pick your brain. I love it when I am able to be interviewing folks who I know have a wealth of information between their ears. I highly recommend you go out and get his book. And you can find that on Amazon, Unlocking Your Business DNA. Have a great day and keep reaching for the stars, my fellow solopreneurs. Stand with your feet firmly on the ground, watch your budget of money and time, and keep reaching for those stars.
Janine, thank you. Big hugs to your family, and thank you for being in our lives.
Thank you for listening to the Thriving Solopreneur Show. We hope you found this episode helpful and uplifting. Be sure to visit us at JanineBolon.com/podcast, where you'll find a library of videos, books, and podcast programs to guide you to the future you envision for yourself. We also ask that you visit our sponsor, the8gates.com, for the books and online courses that share with you the debt-free living lifestyle that allows business owners like yourself to flourish. Have a great day, and see you next time.